When we hear of scary stories, we usually listen to a loved one tell us about a bad dream, or how they heard a strange noise, or saw a shadow. But what about real stories, where hauntings are documented going back to the Great Depression, and where until recently, people actually turned up missing or dead? This is the real story of a truly horrifying place with real history that arguably was likely responsible for the strange disappearance and later death of a young lady from Canada that was visiting in the city of Los Angeles. I'm talking about a famous building on the not-so-nice side of downtown Los Angeles that currently houses low-income and homeless folks with vouchers provided by the city. A one-time prominent hotel that until recently was still available to the general public when visiting the city of Los Angeles. You see, back in 2013, a Canadian tourist by the name of Elisa Lam was solo touring on the west coast of the US when she came across what she believed was a bargain of a place to stay at while exploring the city. But something went wrong when Elisa went missing and couldn't be found. The police were called in to investigate, and they found something that was so strange it made them question everything they're used to in a missing persons investigation. You see, Elisa, the Canadian tourist, went missing, but cameras at the hotel didn't show her actually leaving the property. Elisa was somewhere inside of it, but missing. But where? This is the story of Elisa Lam and the legendary Cecil Hotel in Los Angeles, where stories have been told back to the Great Depression about something being off about that building. This story next.
Welcome to History Everywhere. I'm your host, William H. Story, and today
You can join me
on the morning of
as we
February
take
1st,
a look
8:30 a.m.
at the history of the Cecil Hotel and the Elisa Lam disappearance. What could go wrong? Is the Cecil actually haunted? Let's find out. First, let's start with the infamous Cecil Hotel. You see, this place isn't your standard hotel you find around the country. The Cecil has been around for quite some time, actually. The Cecil Hotel opened in 1924, a towering beacon of elegance in the heart of Los Angeles. With its marble floors, stained glass, and glittering chandeliers, it promised wealth and comfort to anyone who walked through its doors. For a time, it stood proud, a palace for the ambitious and the glamorous. But beneath the surface, something darker seemed to stir. It wasn't long before the city's fortunes turned. The Great Depression swept through like a storm, dragging the Cecil down with it. The Grand Hotel found itself surrounded by decay as Skid Row grew up around it, a shadowy corner of the city where desperation and misery festered. The once proud Cecil became a crumbling refuge for the lost and the broken, its marble halls echoing with whispers of sorrow and despair. Then came the deaths, the suicides, murders, strange, inexplicable tragedies. Over the decades, the Cecil seemed to attract the worst of humanity. Or perhaps it brought something out in them. Serial killers stayed within its walls. Guests vanished, never to be seen again. And every so often, something unthinkable happened, leaving behind questions with no answers, as if the hotel itself was feeding on the darkness. The Cecil's early days of beauty and hope were nothing but a facade. Beneath its elegant exterior was something malevolent, something that seemed to grow stronger with every tragedy that unfolded. To this day, its halls are steeped in shadows, and those who visit can't shake the feeling that the hotel is watching, waiting, and hungering for more. In 2013, Canadian tourist Elisa Lam, a 21-year-old college student from Canada, checked into the infamous Cecil Hotel in downtown Los Angeles. She was traveling alone, excited to explore the city, but within days, she vanished without a trace. Her disappearance captivated the public, but it wasn't until the release of a chilling surveillance video that the case became something out of a nightmare. In the footage, Elisa is seen in the hotel's elevator, acting strangely. She presses all the buttons, peeks nervously into the hall, and seems to hide from something unseen. Her movements grow more erratic as she steps in and out of the elevator, her hands twisting in unnatural gestures, as though she's trying to communicate or ward something off. Weeks later, after complaints about foul-smelling, discolored water, Elisa's body was discovered in one of the hotel's rooftop water tanks. She was naked, her clothes floating beside her, and the tank's lid, supposedly too heavy for her to move alone, was somehow closed. The autopsy ruled her death an accidental drowning, blaming her bipolar disorder. But the questions surrounding her final moments refused to fade. How did she get to the locked rooftop? Why was she in the water tank? And what was she seeing or fleeing from in that elevator? Was it mental illness, something sinister, or perhaps something not of this world? The answers remain as elusive as the shadows haunting the Cecil Hotel, leaving only unease and a sense of dread. Was the Cecil Hotel responsible for Elisa's death? Or was it an inside job where she never had a chance and was done for even before checking in? We'll never know, but one thing is for sure. If the walls could talk at the Cecil, we would most definitely know what Elisa saw. Or more importantly, who was responsible for her ending in a water tank on the last floor. Thank you for joining History Everywhere on this haunting story of the historic Cecil Hotel, where people check in, but they never check out.